What's up, y'all? It's D-Man LaFleur. That's Breon, man. This is Bellies and BS, man. We appreciate y'all. And we are joined by philanthropist, journalist, MC, dynamic in-game host, Miss Olivia West. What's going on? How you doing?
Hey, whoa, what an intro. Hold on, are you trying to take my job?
Nah.
Is that what's trying to happen?
You are the queen of MC in Indianapolis, man. So we definitely want to give you your flowers right now before we do anything else.
Thank you so much. Oh, glory to God. It is, I mean, it's an absolute honor and privilege to be an MC and to be able to just use my gift and my voice, right? When I came to Indianapolis in 2021, I came for one reason, for a job, but I stayed for this community. Yeah. And I also stayed for the ability to be myself and share these gifts. I had no idea that life was about to look like this, but Absolutely. I'm so grateful and thankful that it has. And I'm really excited to join you today on this podcast. I don't even know how I ran across y'all. I was, new to the city, and I was like, what are people listening to? And listen, I'm not super big into music. I've got to tell you that.
That's real.
I love sport, but like music is just not really like, I grew up in a small town on a farm. The music I listen to
Y'all still got the farm?
Yeah.
Don't have the farm anymore.
Okay.
But I rode horses for 15 years.
I rode horses for 8.
Hey, come on now.
Western and English. Yeah,
good stuff.
And then I was out at Canterbury Stables out in Zionsville. I did the hurdles and I used to show and everything back in the day.
Now you're fancy with it. Yeah. I rode primarily Western because that was my horse's strong suit. But yeah, I just like when I came to the city, I said, what are people listening to, watching? Where do they hang out? Where do they eat? And y'all's podcast was one of those things.
See that? Hey, you know what I mean? Well, that's good.
As it should.
Because you came to one of our block parties. Not just this last one, but one before, correct?
I did, yeah. So y'all were set up there in Fountain Square. I don't live too far away, and I karaoke'd that one.
Yeah, the last one. Oh, yeah,
you karaoke the last one.
Yeah.
The last one.
But I think initially we met at Hot Boys.
Yeah.
But I think it was at our last year's block party. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think so.
So do you guys have it yearly then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was last year's block party. I mean, Hot Boys it's easy to love them. So just always hang out in Fountain Square is a great area. You got Cargo across the street, and they do a lot of pop-ups and community-centric things. And as much as I work a lot. I think that's what people sometimes don't understand. You see me emceeing, but I'm in my zone.
Yeah,
I'm locked in. Are you kidding me? I've studied that script for hours. I've read through that many a time. So yes, I'm having fun. I'm also putting in the work.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes I love to just pull up to community events and say, like, I'm here, I'm going to karaoke, I'm going to eat some chicken, I'm going to buy some merch, which is really, really cool. So thank you guys for doing that.
For sure.
This has been a year in the making, you coming on a pod and actually talking to you. And like you said, you expressed how much you liked listening to us and what we were doing in the city. And we've been trying to get this done for a year. And like you said, before we started podding, that things take time. Things take time to actually expand and flourish. And it's the right time right now.
It is the right time right now. So what are we talking about?
Oh, we about to get into. We're gonna get into you. We got some notes. We did our research.
Well researched. I like it. Listen, if y'all are gonna do a podcast or get online to say anything, do your research.
Absolutely,
man. Do the research.
So we want to get into you as a person first. Yeah. So where are you from originally?
I'm from LaPorte, Indiana. So that's northern Indiana, about 2.5 hours here, like away from Indy.
Okay, so
is it about that's northern, correct?
North, yeah.
Right.
So like you get on 65,
is that Lake County
it's LaPorte County. LaPorte County, Lake County is adjacent to us. It's not too far.
Adjacent means like
next.
Next.
Yeah, like parallel. Hold on. Parallel.
Just next to is fine. Yeah.
Just next to. So okay, with being born there and then moving here, what's the differences? You know what I mean? So if from your perspective, what's the differences from here to LaPorte?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, LaPorte is a very small town. It's barely even a city. I would not describe it as a city at all. But it had one really big high school, a good high school, 4A, and we have a nice lake there. But it's very calm, kind of quiet. I would say one of the biggest differences in between growing up in a small town to here a bigger city is we have community resources here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? There are resources that are available to us as community community members, co-working facilities. I mean, state-of-the-art places and spaces such as Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have
absolutely.
anything like that in a small town. And so I think when I moved here, my vision got bigger.
Yeah.
And something gets bigger, but it actually got clearer too.
Yeah.
I said, I don't just want to be around, like I want to be involved. And so I definitely think getting out of my hometown was critical for me.
Yeah.
It was critical for me to become and make strides toward who I, am designed to be.
And that,
So coming to Indy, like, I mean, when you came to Indy, what was your first job? Was it the Fever? Like,
So I graduated from Purdue University in 2021, and I came to Indianapolis to work at a large healthcare company. So when I came here, like that was the only reason I was here. I was in between Indianapolis and Los Angeles.
Okay.
So during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time in LA. I had a really good friend out there, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, this place is cool. People dress kind of swaggy. Like, the food is nice. But honestly, the Lord just told me that Indy was the spot.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes you got to walk by faith and not by sight, because I knew very little about Indy besides the Colts. And there was one area in my life I was very obsessed with football. I'm out of that era. I'm a basketball girly now.
Okay.
But I mean, other than that, I knew a couple of sports teams, obviously was a Fever fan. But other than that, I didn't know anything about the people.
So what was that transition like? How did that even come about from healthcare to what you're doing now? Like,
I think sometimes when God gives you a gift,
for sure,
and there's a calling on your life, it doesn't matter what you studied, what you didn't study, what you're doing, where you're living. When God is ready to bless you and call you up and put you into what he has for you, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Absolutely.
As long as you were open to answering his call and then being obedient and also a good steward of whatever that is. Listen, I've always known that I had the gift of gab. I've always known that. But, in
no cap in your rap.
college, what's up?
No cap in your rap.
Right. Yeah. But I've always known that. And I think for a long time I said, well, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
What do I do with this? Like, I acknowledge I have this gift, but what do I do with it? And I kind of was wondering that passively for a while, until I was kind of fed up with like my job. I wasn't too happy. Like the people I was hanging around, it was just kind of lukewarm. And I was like, something got to shake.
Yeah.
Something's got to get
feel
better. And I think that sometimes that's what the Lord needs to hear from you right before he's like, all right, it's time.
Yeah.
And so I was really, really blessed to get the opportunity with the Fever. That's another story if we're going to go into it later, but it was not a job application that I filled out.
Yeah.
It was not something I trained for. It was truly something that the Holy Spirit came to me and said, you need to do this.
Absolutely.
And see, things like that when they happen like that, organic and from upstairs, like
Yeah.
it just feels better and it's more fulfilling. You know what I mean? And so that's kudos to you.
Oh,
For
yeah.
real.
I mean, praise God. I knew from a very young age. I mean, I was like 14 or 15 years old when I accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior. And at the time, I was doing it because what I saw around me was not satisfying. People were drinking a little bit. And I said, this cannot be the way. Like,
Yeah.
this cannot be the way. This cannot be the answer. And if I'm going to do something else, I need to have an option, like an option that looks attractive. And
Yeah.
so I got planted in this local church. I started going to a strength trainer that before every single workout, we would pray into the workout. We pray out of the workout. To this day, that is like my spiritual father, Ron
Yeah.
Gasson. I mean, stuff's going great. I call that brother up. Stuff's going not so great. I call that brother up.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to have someone like that to walk with you through this life.
Absolutely. So the more you talk about faith, the more you talk about your love for Jesus Christ and all the good things like that. What you said you started at 4. What was that moment you was like, okay, I need to accept him as Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, like right now, that he's going to just lead me the way from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was like midway through high school, and I mean, it's not like a miraculous story, really, but I was at one of my best friend's houses, and I was like, oh, can I stay the night? And she's like, yeah, but you got to go to church with me in the morning. I'm like, all right, I guess. And it's not like I was unchurched, but I hadn't been in the church for a while, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, I got basketball on Sunday, or I got a horse show on Sunday, or just any excuse, really.
Yeah.
And I was, like 15 years old. We went to church that next morning, and I just felt something begin to shift in my mind and heart. It's like I look around, I didn't really like what other people were doing. At the time, I wasn't doing it, but I was like, I don't want to either.
Yeah.
And I have to find something that I want to do and want to be. And so it was really a simple answer. I think when I prayed that prayer, I didn't really realize what it was going to take.
Yeah.
Because to this day, like right before we hopped on this podcast, I was walking through the scriptures with one of my friends. I just felt in this season that that's what I need to be doing. Like, it's one thing to talk about him, but it's another thing to really sharpen your sword and be edified by the word. That's a whole different type of commitment.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot, and it's not easy. And I don't do it every day, but that's the aim, is to do it every day and to be a faithful servant of his. If MCing was taken from me tomorrow, if my voice was taken from me tomorrow, I still have his light inside of me. And that's something that I think gives me a lot of confidence.
Absolutely.
That, you know how many no's I get? Man, just this week.
You get no's?
All the time.
Really?
Way more than yes. Way more than yes. Oh, you don't even know. Yes. The rejection is real. But the redirection is even better, and that comes from God. Yeah.
Because what's meant for you is for you.
That's a bar. That's a bar.
It is. And I've lived it. You know, like people will say that stuff from time to time. Oh no, it's true. I've lived it time and time again.
So where you at with life and like being like what your position? Like I know you deal with a lot of I don't want to say distractions, or you deal with you know what I mean, like you're tested constantly in the field that you in.
Oh,
so how do you maneuver through that?
Oh my goodness. You know, I actually love the fact that you use the word distraction, because they don't appear as distractions. They appear as attractions. It's stuff that you really want to do, or like, that look fun. Or maybe like if I don't really like read the pre-reads, or I don't have to be as diligent, they're attractions. And so what you have to begin to do.
Everything that look good ain't good.
Though. I mean, come on. Like, do you really think that if the devil pulled up and was scary and looked like Grim Reaper, you'd open the door? Never. It's going to pull up looking like something you like. It tastes good. It look good.
Bad little
like this today, I seen this thing going crazy on
my bad.
On social media. Somebody shared a double cheeseburger with the buns are pork chops.
Oh my. Come on now. The cholesterol is screaming.
It looked good, but that might be
the pork chops might have been dry.
If it's attractive.
The pork chops might have been dry.
Like you said, it's attractive, but that's something I don't need to.
But if they moist, all right, I'm gonna do what it do with it.
Wow.
So Purdue University. What did you go to major in?
Yeah, Purdue University. I went there and I actually studied agriculture. So growing up in LaPorte, showing horses, showing pigs, I actually studied agricultural economics.
So 4-H?
Really?
4-H. I was a 10-year 4-H member, FFA. I was actually the chaplain of my FFA.
Tell me you was one of those kids coming down here to the.
I actually never did.
American Young Farmers Association.
FFA, Future Farmers of America.
Yeah.
Well, and you actually
fresh though with the little jackets.
A little fresh. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I never did that. You know why? Because them jackets were expensive. Those jackets were expensive. And then you had to wear this little ugly skirt. I'm like, I'm cool off that. Yeah.
I went to a horseback riding camp before at St. Mary's of the Woods. I was the only black kid in there.
I'm sure.
It was tough.
I was definitely the only black kid, but I was really good. I was really, really good. And so
they didn't expect us to be good on the horses,
which makes it that much sweeter. To be honest, like, let me surprise you.
Yeah,
come on.
I've never been in an all room.
What?
Really?
Never. I never been the only one.
Wow.
There's always been a couple me sprinkled in there, but I just be like, I gotta make sure I'm where I'm wanted and where I'm celebrated. Wow. You know what I mean? So, but
I love that for you, D-Man.
Yeah.
But I mean, but I never know. I could be celebrated in those rooms too. You know what I mean? I just haven't gotten an opportunity to be in those rooms yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I will though. We will.
Well, that's actually interesting that you bring that up, because I think most of my childhood, I was the only one. I was the only one. And you know what? I don't think it ever bothered me until I got to Purdue.
Really?
I was at Purdue, and I remember, so I'm mixed. My mom is white. My father is black. My father was never in my life. I met him when I was 17 years old. Okay. Forgiving him because God forgave me. Yeah.
See, he had never met his father.
Really?
Yeah, I would, and I don't. I would never forgive you.
I said, "Can you find him?"
Do not. Oh, let me encourage you right now. You need to forgive him for you, not for him.
And I keep trying.
I thought that too. I thought I'm gonna be mad at him. I'm gonna be bitter, and it ate me up.
Really?
All the freedom and blessing I walk in is because of that forgiveness. Listen. I'll like send you this after, but read the parable of the unforgiving servant. This servant was forgiven of millions of dollars worth of debt, and then he went and demanded a couple $1,000s that someone owed him. The king found out about him and didn't forgive him, and you know what the payment is for sin. So I'm really encouraging you, for no other reason other than your own well-being.
Yeah.
Forgive him.
And speaking life into Buddy. He needed
It's
talk to get find him, because really, like we talk about this all the time, bro. Like somebody know where your pops at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know exactly who they is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, bro,
all in due time. Not
don't rush it. But
Yeah.
You tap dancing on 40, man. But you know,
I got like 7 years left before I'm 40.
your math is off.
But hold on, I'm 34. 7 years.
Okay.
I'm like 6.
6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. Anyway, listen, no one can rush your healing and your process, but I really do want to encourage you, because for me,
Somebody need to rush it a little bit, because he ain't
that
doing
was
none
one
of
of
it.
my breakthroughs.
Really?
It really was, man. And nothing God good happened to me until I got rid of some stain and dirt that was trying to hold me back and hold me down. Are you kidding me? The devil wants to see you harbor this bitterness forever. Imagine what's on the other side of that forgiveness and that healing. And man, that's really what I desire for my life to be a testimony of.
Larry June say it all the time. It's just, you know, in order to grow, you got to let go. Nobody told me that. That's what the streets told me.
Well, the streets really didn't teach me. I've never been in the streets, but
I ain't either. I'm from the suburbs.
Right.
For real. But I'm
yeah,
just saying,
so-
just like, let it go, bro. Let that pain go and move forward if you can.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And that's an okay answer. God can do a lot with your eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And God got you at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
so back to like, so you transition. So what is it like? What was it? So being in those rooms, right, where we sprinkled in here and there, right, and you walk in a lot of those. You know what I mean? Like you do, like
Yeah.
So like, what was it like? When you were named Indiana's Business Journal's 20 in their 20s, like what was that like?
Come on now, yes, IBJ 20 in their 20s. That was such a blessing.
Yeah.
It was really a blessing, but I think I was just so overjoyed that my work and my gift is recognized. Is recognized in a credible forum that is not just for us, by us, but it is from an entity that's been around for a long time, who's been predominantly not in our community, recognizing my work. And so it did mean a lot. It was really a win, not just for me, but for all the people who have loved me, for all the people who sewed into me.
For sure.
And I'm indebted and grateful to all of those people. I hope that I'm making my mama proud.
Absolutely.
And everyone else who's prayed for me, who's answered my emails, texts, who's just chopped it up with me. That was a win for all of us.
Absolutely. I feel
That's
like
how I feel too.
yeah. Whenever someone like us wins like that, it needs to be celebrated every single time to the max. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Purdue.
Yeah.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
What was the switch up? When did you know for a fact, okay, this is not kind of what I want to do anymore? Did you graduate with that degree?
I did. I graduated with a degree in agricultural economics.
Okay.
I think about half my time at Purdue, I didn't know why I was there, other than I can't live with my mom anymore, and I know that I need to go to college because everyone in my family went to college, and like that's what you do. And in those 4 years, you figure it out.
Yeah.
You explore your interests and your skills, and you figure it out. It was midway through my time at Purdue actually, let me just really be hot with you, honest, open, and transparent, because my freshman year at Purdue was less than satisfactory.
Yeah.
To the point that I was on academic probation, and I had hurt my ankle at the co-rec hooping. So I had a lot of time to think about my bad grades.
Yeah.
I was back home at mom's house. She didn't even have to say anything to me. I knew that I was down bad.
Yeah.
As someone who'd been a high achiever my whole life, I mean, mostly A's, a sprinkle of a B in there.
Yeah.
I was very much committed to excellence, and I did not have a good academic performance my freshman year. So without anyone having to say anything, I said, something got to change.
Yeah.
Something's got to shake. And so when I got back to Purdue's campus, I just recommitted myself to why I was there. I said, I don't really know what I want to do, but I'm doing this right now. So let me be great at it.
Yeah.
Let me be excellent. Let me sit in the front row. I started wearing business casual to class every day.
Really?
I was that kid. I was just like, listen.
There's a dude I went to school with. He used to wear suits all the time.
Well, because sometimes like that's what you got to do to get your mind right.
Yeah.
And so I knew that
Dress
for
the
me.
part.
Yeah, dress the part, dress like the job you want, not the job you have. And so I said, this is probably what a successful person does. So let me start to do that. I also remember, this is an awful and very untrue statement, but I heard this like my freshman, sophomore year at Purdue that like if you ever wanted to hide something from a black person, hide it in a book.
Oh, yeah, because we don't read nothing.
All of a sudden, I started reading. Man, I was in that library all the time. I said, I want to read. I want to listen. I want to journal. I want to be a very well-read and informed person. And so that's what really spurred my behavior change. I also think, too, when you're achieving, your options, you just have a lot more options.
Exactly.
I was really blessed to interview Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and his whole book is Elevate and Dominate. Because when you dominate, you got options. If you're not dominating, you don't have any options.
Exactly.
What is someone going to offer you if you're not already great? Nothing.
Exactly.
And so
you have to be something worth like investing in.
in, yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to be worth it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing to for us to be behind you and support you for real?
Absolutely.
So, I feel that.
Yeah, and so really a lot of my time at Purdue was finding where I fit. Where do I fit in business? Where do I fit socially? And I will never forget it. We have this tree at Purdue called unofficially, right? No one called it this, but it was the diversity tree.
Okay.
And all the black students would hang out like around this diversity tree. So I got off the bus one day. I had rid away from all of my friends that were not really doing a whole lot of what they should have been doing.
That's good.
And yeah, it was good. And honestly, for a season, I was super lonely. I was just going to class and being faithful and being diligent. And I went to the diversity tree one day. There were some black students sitting there, and I was like, hey guys, because I'm like pretty upbeat and bubbly, and not everyone loves that. But anyway, I went up there and I introduced myself, and I was like, hey guys, like I'm Liv. And they're like, where you come from? I was like, I've been here for a year. I just not been around. And they're like, all right, sit down. And that was it. Yeah, man, it was like I was in. It was like they didn't need to know anything else. Like they didn't even care what I was studying. Yeah, they didn't ask me where I was from, and they just said, sit down. And that was the first time in my life that I was just accepted. Yeah. Not based on what I did or what I didn't do, especially showing horses. That's performative. Yeah. Showing pigs is performative. Playing basketball is performative. For the first time, I could just be you. And I'm accepted. Yeah. And from that foundation is where I found my voice, where I found my leadership style, where I learned to be bold. It was from all of those experiences that I just became me. Yeah.
So when you said first time that you kind of felt like accepted, being raised you're biracial. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure what was that like growing up dealing with that?
Well, growing up,
was it cool?
I was almost naive to it. I have a very, very loving family, a family who's just like with me, for me, supporting me. Maybe I felt some of that pressure from like other kids or like other students, maybe like being excluded. I definitely felt that a bit. But I think when you're young, you're just young. You're just doing what you're doing, going to activities that your family exposed you to. I don't really think that I realized it until like my later teen years. And I was like, wow, like I am looking for community that's not based on performance. I am looking for community that's not based on where you're at in society or like if your family got money or blah, blah, blah. But I truly, truly do think that I did my best work when I just felt loved and supported. Absolutely. And so that's the environment that I try to cultivate just around me as well. It's like, hey, you don't have to be perfect. And you can come as you are. Just don't stay that way. Yeah. Like let's
elevate. Let's grow something. Let's thrive.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's take it to the next level. I believe it. I feel that. Because staying stagnant is just for what?
Yeah. For what? Like nothing is that fun that you just want to keep doing it like forever.
We want to pod, but we want to be. We still want to do better, do more.
Exactly.
There's always room to
there's always room to grow. And isn't this a lot more fun having these like state of the art lights and cameras and a team?
The Ritz Carlton.
I was like, Tosh, what?
The Ritz Carlton.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
The
what
Ritz Carlton.
Yeah.
It's like a high end.
You ever been there?
No.
We're gonna go there one day.
Period.
We will,
and have a podcast
and
there.
have a pod there. We're gonna
that would actually be wild.
Jay-Z. We're gonna be talking to Jay-Z at the Ritz Carlton.
But there you go. You know, like there's always a greater level that you can go to, and you know, this kind of a cool story too. You know how people say like it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of my 10,000 hours when it came to talking and emceeing happened in the barn. So, you know, horses eat hay, and hay bales are pretty big. And if you stack a lot of hay bales together, it kind of looks like a stage. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I did my performing, my emceeing. And we had a sound system in there, like where I would ride the horses inside. And I would be on that stage teaching, preaching, singing, dancing. And the only one listening were the horses.
Speaking of that, so like it's that. So how do you prepare for your speaking? So how do you prepare for your speaking engagements?
Depending on what
because you were just butter, you know. So
correct. Yeah, so I mean, in this last month, I've done butter. So I emceed their artist preview night. I've interviewed Gabby Thomas, which was a really good opportunity. 3-time gold medalist. I've done a lot of fever games. Also, just a lot of other emceed a couple of really big fundraisers.
Gabby,
I know
that was crazy.
I know you just interviewed with Shannon Sharp.
Yes, yeah. Shannon Sharp was back in March. Deion Sanders was here just like a couple months ago. Natasha Cloud. I got to talk to Kathy Engelbert at WNBA All Stars. So I mean, a lot, right?
In the right rooms, man.
Yeah, really, really busy. Super blessed. For me, though, it really the proof is in the pudding of preparation.
Absolutely.
Prevents. Preparation.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's just a part of it. I'm never going to step on a stage without being prepared, right? Like, just like you wouldn't walk outside naked, I'm not about to get on stage and not be prepared and not have asked the critical questions. How many people are going to be there? What types of people are going to be here? What type of tone do you want me to have? How can I make this event epic for you?
Yeah.
How can I do this different or better than maybe the last person that did it? You got to ask all those questions. And that takes a lot of diligence. That takes you setting aside time. Because I cannot stand everybody's like, oh, I'm so busy. Well, I'm busy too, but I'm very focused.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very, very focused.
Man, thank you. Yes. I can relate.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? People will make time for what they need to make time for. In this extremely busy week, one of the things I was most looking forward to is having this conversation with y'all. Because this is something that we've prepared for,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
We have coordinated, you've prepared for with the coordination of everything. So in short, before I go up to speak, I understand who the audience is. I understand what my message is, and I understand what is it that I'm calling them to do. If it's a fever game, shoot, it's to have fun, right?
Absolutely.
It's to make some noise, which I don't have to beg them because they are wild.
Yeah.
Seriously, the best fans in the WNBA.
Talk your stuff.
If it's a fundraiser, I'm asking for them to sow into the mission, right? So you got to have a different tone for that. I also think that it's really, really critical to understand who it is that you're talking to. Right? Even with this podcast, it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
But the people that it is for, how can you cater to their needs?
Absolutely.
So,
go ahead. So, your first, what was the first gig? What was the first but what was the first opportunity you got to where you knew for a fact this MCing thing? This is me. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is a great question. So, I think, again, like, even though I put in my 10,000 hours on the hay bales, you know, I was ready. I was definitely ready. I also ran a lot of meetings, like very large meetings with, you know, hundreds of people. I was actually the president of my horse and pony club, which was like the biggest club in 4-H. There was like 200 members of it. And I was definitely the only one. But it felt really good to be the only one, but to also be leading.
Exactly.
But I remember my first time. It was a couple of years ago, and there's this organization that reached out to me and said they wanted me to MC this like DEI event. I said, okay, like, I'll do it. The venue was immaculate. I always ask if they have food. Number one, to gauge what's the budget, but also number two, can I come hungry or do I need to eat beforehand, right?
Real quick. These are real questions.
These
essential questions.
Essential. It's like the question behind the question is how much y'all spending, but it's also like, I'm hungry. So, but also as a speaker, you got to be careful. You don't want to get stuff in your teeth, which I struggle with that a lot anyway. But I remember, yeah, especially with that chicken.
Sure. I keep some toothpicks in the car.
Listen, proper preparation prevents poor performance, right?
Yeah.
Praise God, that's funny. But I think that so that first event again, man, they asked me to do this, and I said, like I had already agreed to it. And this was real early on where I didn't know that I should be, charging. And they said, Olivia, we only have, and most of the time people hit you with that, like they only have $1 or, something real cheap. But it was a decent amount. I said, wait, like I was just about to go home and order some pizza and you only have this? Oh, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's really how it started. It's like, wow, I have a gift. I have a skill. I have a service that is in demand. And me, more than anyone, they wanted for this event. I think I can 10X this.
Does that feel good knowing that people want you? Like, it's not one of them things like you had to reach out to somebody and ask for it. They called you and they want you to be a part of their event. Like, that's a different feeling. It's more of a want.
Yeah, both and. I mean, to be frank, I also really like to earn it. There was one of the best deals that I've had to this day is Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball.
Yeah.
So that's a professional basketball league in the month of March. Last year it was in Dallas, Texas. I reached out to them via DM on Instagram. They got like 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
And I DM'd them, and that's how I got that deal.
Really?
And they flew me back and forth to Texas for 4 weeks.
Dang.
They were not looking for me, but I was looking for them.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes like that's how you got to do it. Good things don't just come. You got to
create your own opportunities.
Yes. You have to create your own opportunities.
That's major.
And I actually and sometimes that question when people ask me like, how do you get these opportunities? I chase them down like a hungry dog.
Yeah.
Some of them do come for sure, but the big ones, I chase them down like a hungry dog. Who runs faster, a dog that was just fed or a dog that's hungry? I am hungry. I know that God has graced me and blessed me to do this. So I want to 10X it because I want to expand my impact and also encourage others. And guess what? Someone's going to do it. So why not you?
Look, that's all I be saying. Look, and that's how I feel like when I put these events and stuff together. It's like I ain't worked since February. Like I ain't had a job, bro. Like this is like putting events together and grinding. Like this is all I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we have to create our own opportunities because working for somebody else ain't gonna. What are we gonna be doing here?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's dope that you're actually walking in your purpose, you're doing everything that you really want to do in this moment, right?
Yes, yeah.
In this time, and you blessed to do that, man. I think, and that's dope that you created that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, obviously, you're a blessing, everything like that, you know what I mean? But like you're doing it, you're putting that work in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now that you're here, right? So, and I know that we've had questions, like we've had conversations in the past, like we talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, so how do you pick and choose which events and things that you want to do? Because now you have a certain demographic, you have a niche now.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? So how do you create those type of boundaries amongst your friends and people that ultimately want to do business with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Boundaries are good for everybody.
Yeah.
Boundaries are really, really good for everybody. I think as much as I get no's, I also deliver them pretty often too. There is a couple things I really like to do. If it has something to do with basketball, business, and community, most of the time I'm in. Right. I also think too, it very much has to do with just my scope and my workload. Yeah. I mean, weeks like this where we have the fever, 3 or 4 times at home, my motivation and availability to do anything else is quite low. Yeah. Right. And so I also think a lot of it too is setting realistic expectations, because when someone brings me in for their event, it's something that they've been looking forward to all year. And for me, it's probably my 4th or 5th one of the week, if not sometimes the day, the second or third one of the day. And so in order for me to give my best self, I got to set myself up for success. But I think, again, usually mine are basketball, business, community. Does it fall into that? I'm a professional through and through. I mean, yeah, I wear hoodies, some streetwear sometimes, but I mean, very, very quickly, I'm on stage doing a keynote with A-Rod or something like that. So it needs to be appropriate, and it also has got to be spiritually aligned.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm not playing with you. Like, sometimes I will listen to secular music, but I can't do it too much because it just will taint my spirit, and I just can't afford to do that. I think additionally, and sometimes you'll see me out and about at community events, and I'll stay maybe for, 30 minutes, an hour, and then I'll leave because I have another event or I've got somewhere else to go or church in the morning. And so I think that boundaries are just good for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I just use discernment. Not everybody is an immediate yes. It's not an immediate no, but it's like, how can we make this work? And also, how can I set them up for success? Mm-hmm. More often than not, man, even if it's good money, God really worked on me with this one. But sometimes I will actually give the deal to someone else, saying, I think that this person is actually better suited. Let me pass you off to them. Yeah. And I always believe that blessing will come back around.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. So let's get into this back. So we don't. I'm happy that you're here because we don't get into sports like we should.
Hey,
ain't no like we should nothing
because
we're a sports city.
He's
I'm
more
a sport. I'm cool with. I like sports.
Yeah,
but go ahead, D-Man.
He doesn't watch sports. I think he said his favorite team was the Cincinnati Bengals, and who was the quarterback you said? Michael Vick.
When did I say that?
It was along the lines of that, but
okay. I don't.
The fever, the
Indiana
Pacers,
fever.
How was that opportunity? What was the opportunity like when you first got that gig that you knew for a fact you was about to be a part of being the in-game host for the Fever?
Oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite stories to tell because this story gives God all the glory. So I moved to Indianapolis in 2021. Immediately, I began going to Fever games. Mm-hmm. So I found a group of girls I would play ball with, and a lot of times they had tickets or they just give you tickets. Also, a couple of years ago, the tickets were like a couple dollars. Yeah, exactly. So you just pull up. Yeah. And so the Indiana Fever at the time were playing at multiple different arenas around the city. They would play at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Mm-hmm. They'd play at Indiana Farmers Coliseum because Gamebridge was under construction in preparation for the upcoming All-Star.
Yeah.
I went to a couple games by myself, and there was one game I was at that I just had this feeling, and that feeling was the Holy Spirit telling me to get involved. And that's all I heard, just get involved. I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's what I heard, so I'm going to do it. Well, I didn't know anybody. I clearly did not study sport management or anything. I did not even consider working in sport.
That's not even,
not on my radar at all. I said, okay, let me just use my brain. And what should I do? Well, I need to go get to know somebody.
Yeah.
So I went on the website and I said, who runs this organization? Like, who's a leader of the Fever? And it's Dr. Allison Barber. And so I looked at her picture, I looked around the stadium, and I found her. I said, okay, that's her. I'm going to stay after the game, and I'm going to talk to her. And so that's all I did. I just introduced myself. Hey, what's up, Dr. Barber? I'm Olivia. Grew up in LaPorte. Really happy to be here. Always been a Fever fan. Love Tamika Catchings. Listen, I'm just happy to be here. Mm-hmm. And that was really great for her to hear because there were not a whole lot of fans yet.
Absolutely.
Right? The team was not winning. Yeah. There was no other reason than the fact that I was an actual fan of the game and of the team, and I believed in them that I would do something like that. At the time, again, all I heard was to get involved. Okay, so a couple weeks later, I go to another game by myself. Also, I had just moved to the city. I didn't really have any friends. And so I'm also an only child. So I'm not, yeah, there you go. Like, yeah, only children, buy them horses, right? It's like, get them a friend with 4 legs.
I ain't get no horse, but yeah. A little dog in the back. My mom bought me a hamster, but it choked on a grape and died. But it's neither here nor there.
Oh no, that just got really dark.
His life, and hamsters, gerbils, dogs,
guinea pig.
Hey, it's shambles.
Wow, yeah.
Shambles.
No, I'm like really good off that. Nope, I don't need anything dying on me. Yeah. So anyway, a couple games later, I had gone to a game and they were hosting at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Mm-hmm. I totally don't even know who they were playing, but one of my friends, Samson Levingston, who does the walk and talk tours in Indianapolis, mm-hmm. Samson was the guest host. He was the MC. So he asked
Samson
me.
Cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. So again, this was in 2022. Mm-hmm. Samson asked me if I wanted to like play one of the timeout games with him. So I was like, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there was not that many people there. Anyway, Samson and I are playing this game. It was like a category game or something, you know, like the category is vegetables. You got to name as many vegetables as you can in 30 seconds. So I'm playing the game, right? And I'm seeing myself on the big screen. And I was like, man, I like the way I look. That's exactly what I was saying. I was like, man, I look good up there. I sound good in there too. And it was later that night, I was driving home and the Holy Spirit was like, that's it. That's it. You're going to host for the Fever. Yeah. And so I like, woo, I got a word. Yeah. I got a word. Let me hit up Dr. Allison Barber. So I hit her up. I said, hey, Dr. Barber, it's Olivia. At that point, she knew who I was because I'd always say hi to her. You know, you got to be intentional. And she was like, hey, thank you for that inquiry. We don't need anybody. I said, okay. All right. And I just kept on walking, kept on moving. You know, had my full-time job at that point. I had started a business, not a super successful business at the time, but I was like, listen, I got a lot of other things to do. So I'm just going to keep on moving. The next year, right, WNBA season during the summer. This was at the end of the WNBA season. So about now, 2 years ago, like September. It was not until early the next year, I was sitting on my couch and the Holy Spirit like nudged me in the back. It was, I mean, it was so obvious and evident. Nudge me in the back, get up and text Allison Barber. So that's what I did. I sent her a text. I said, hey, it's a new year. I'm wondering if you need an in-game host this year. She texts me back and says, I'm not sure, but if we do, my operations guys will reach out to you. Sure enough, a couple days later, they reached out. Hey, Dr. Barber said that you'd potentially be interested in being our host. Can you send us this media kit? And they asked for a couple of assets, which I didn't have because I studied ag. Like, I don't know how to do this media thing. And I was like, okay, like I don't have this, but what do you need to see? And they just wrote me a couple little prompts like, oh, how would you handle like a Kroger card giveaway or a game with a fan? And so I sat up my phone and took a video and put it together on iMovie and sent it to them. And they said, okay, we will have you come in for an audition. The audition was the first game of the season. Damn. I was in there, totally flew blind. I don't even know what I said. I think I blacked out. At the end of the night, though, we went back into the green room and they said, so how was it? And I was like, I love it. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And they said, well, do you want to do it this season? I was like, yeah, I do. I signed the paper, and they slid across the table an ID that they had already printed for me.
Oh, they knew. Yeah, they believed in you.
It was God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm so grateful. It almost brings me to tears because I think that sometimes you hear of God blessing other people, and it's like that's great for them. Yeah, and that's great for them. But is it going to happen to me? And it happened to me, and that's why I just encourage everyone. God wants to bless you. Yeah. Man, like before that, I was like, this is great. God healing people and blessing people and anointing people. And like, I hope I just.
Right. I'm right here. Hey,
yeah. I'm like, hello. I'm like, I'm really trying to be faithful, you know?
I'm being good now.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But man, it happened. It happened.
That's dope.
And that was only the beginning.
Absolutely. Man,
some of this other stuff is so Holy Spirit led. I cannot take credit. I know where my help comes from.
Absolutely.
And I'm humble enough to say it. If things ever start going really, really bad or downhill, know that I'm just disconnected because that is not what the Lord has for us. He has plans to prosper us and to give us a hope in a future. And I'm not saying stuff's always going to be popping like it is right now because right now, you know, seasons, right? And right now, I'm so blessed and fortunate to be with a team and a franchise that's winning, right? Absolutely. Between the Pacers, with the ECF, between the Fever, we're selling out every game. It's an absolute blessing, and I know it's not always going to be like this, but while it is, I'm going to give him glory. Absolutely. And even when it's not, I'm going to give him glory.
Absolutely. So I heard you talk about basketball. When was the first time you picked up a basketball?
Probably like third grade, like second or third grade. So it was a thing where I grew up. Like you showed pigs and you play basketball. Like there was just two things that you just had to try. You didn't have to stick with them, but like you had to try them. And I mean, basketball, I didn't get like really good until senior year, but at that point it's kind of too late. Yeah. And even really good was like a double a game. Like we're not talking about Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell type of numbers, but we are talking about I was a consistent. That's crazy.
I'll dunk on all of them.
not dunk.
You gotta believe.
I was gonna say you cannot dunk at all. And listen,
they can really hoop though. I was like, they're some hoopers.
And their basketball IQ is so high as well. I mean, the Fever put on a show every night.
Yeah. Man, look, I was like, man, look, when I said the Fever looking good out there.
So like you said, a couple of years ago, you couldn't get a fan to get it going. Obviously, they had fans going in, but it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
The way that CCS came in and actually just completely turned around the organization. Well, Aaliyah started last year because it's not like she was an all-star last year as well.
Yeah, correct. So Aaliyah was 2023 all-star and rookie of the year.
Exactly.
Very similar to what's expected for Caitlin Clark as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and I think she's going to get that too.
Yeah. Well, especially with Angel Reese having her injury, which is so unfortunate, man, because Angel's a dog. Man. You know, in order to rebound like that, and people can talk a lot of trash and say she gets her own rebounds. Even if you take those out, she's a top rebounder in the league.
Exactly.
There's a certain level of dog and commitment that you have to go after a ball that is like a dead ball, pretty much, right? You have to be really committed to.
She's a scrapper.
Scrappy, man. And like that's the type of stuff that you just can't teach. You know, you can go to a shooting machine.
It's a will or a skill thing.
Yeah.
It is. And Angel has that. I think that she has the will. You're going to continue to see her skill get better and better.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that.
So with the Fever doing as well as they are this year, I was going to talk to you about the whole Angel Reese CC debate that everyone's having. I don't understand where they
can't just coexist.
I don't know why they just can't coexist. You know what I mean?
I don't know why. It's the media. It's really not them. I mean,
I think
talking.
They probably cool
and
as
I've heard Angel just say like this. We don't have any problems with each other. It's literally all media driven.
It is. I mean, listen. I think sometimes we forget that like this is entertainment, right? Sport is entertainment. It's not sports and entertainment. Sports is entertainment.
They got writers for sports. It's like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, both of them are committed to the grind, the game, and getting better.
Yeah.
You know, Angel is now this multifaceted businesswoman who is into fashion, beauty, lifestyle. I mean, if you look at Angel's page, there's nothing about basketball on there. I mean, maybe her occasional brand deal, but she's mostly iced out, you know, having fun, looking pretty. And we love that for her. And then Caitlin with her very basketball-centric everything, you know, her whole page, all her endorsements between Nike, Gatorade, and such. I mean, both of them are so unique. And they're so gifted in their own ways. Yes, they have that common denominator of basketball, but I mean, we're talking about two different women, two completely different upbringings, now playing in the same league, and the media treatments of them is also very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I wish it would just stay about basketball. But it gets outside of that sometimes.
Yeah, and that's where I think the WNBA and NBA are so incredibly different. You know, people can openly talk about NBA players and say all this and say all that because honestly, they're rich. Yeah. Like they are rich, been rich, going to be richer. I think it gets sensitive with WNBA players because you know that they're not getting the money from the team like that. So like, come on, these are young women,
and they playing harder than the guys.
Man, they are playing hard. They are dealing with this hate. I mean, just support. You know, like whatever it takes, however you can support. Whether that's subscribing to League Pass, going to the All-Star game, going to a game. You know, getting some merch, getting a jersey or something. I'm excited. I'm so excited for the WNBA at large, and I'm really excited and blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, WNBA All-Star Game is going to be here in Indianapolis
Come
next
on now, Indianapolis 2025.
That's crazy. All-Star back-to-back in Indy.
That's going to be insane.
Is it crazy? Was it planned?
I'm already planning some stuff for that.
So
I'm trying to get
obviously we know you're going to hopefully, well, listen, Lord's willing, you'll be a part of that. I would think with you being a part of the Fever, they're gonna hang on, not hang on, but they're gonna make sure you're a part of it.
Her in
they're
some
gonna incorporate you because you're with the Fever. How exciting is that for you?
Oh, I am elated for that. But to be frank, it's much too far away for me to really say, oh, I'm going to do this and that. But I definitely see myself having a heavy hand in what takes place All-Star Weekend. Now, something for you all to know that's actually really different. So when NBA All-Star comes in, it's the league that does that.
For sure.
Right? So you got people from all around the league coming. I mean, some of the people that I worked with were from the Heat. There's a gentleman from the Magic, and there's a couple of Warriors people that I worked with, on game day. Now, when WNBA does All Stars, it's the team that does it. So it's going to be all of our people. And snap. So if I'm still in the same role, I'll likely be doing all of it. But that's the thing. I mean, for the Fever to welcome All-Star here, they have to invest in that. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be hiring people and bringing people together in a way similar to NBA All-Star, but much more of the onus is on the team. So Absolutely. Shout out to the Fever for welcoming that because it very much is a challenge. I mean, just imagine you going to work every day and then someone's just like, hey, we're having this thing bigger than ever before in a year. A lot of times the lead time for this is years, and now we have less than a year. Yeah.
I know you're excited about that. I seen that. I thought that was...
Yeah, like, hello, I can help. No, but seriously.
So where do you see yourself, like, in the next, like, 5? Like, come on. Like, you've already accomplished so much. Like, where you at with the Fever now? You know what I mean? So it's like what's next for you in the next?
As far as the
Fever announcing, like, what's up, Liv? Give us some. What's happening?
Yeah. Guys, I wish that I had a better answer to this question, but this actually makes me reflect back to like a couple years ago, so 2022 and 23. I remember. I am like really like business oriented. And so for the year 2022, I had a strategic plan. Like I'm telling you 5 steps, 5 accomplishments for every area of my life. And I look at that plan at the end of the year and barely none of that stuff happened.
Because there wasn't, that ain't God's plan. That's our plan. That ain't God's plan.
I was devastated. I'm like, what? Like this is a strategic plan. Businesses do it and it works. Why didn't mine work? And so in 2023, I flipped it on its head and I said, God, whatever you have for me is what I want.
For sure.
God, whatever you have for me is what I desire. And he blew my socks off. I was like, oh, that's my plan every year. Yeah. That's actually my plan every day. That's my plan every week. And so I think for me, a lot of it, yes, like I'm not going to lie, I have a lot of stuff in the works, a lot of stuff I'm excited about, a lot of announcements coming out. But I also don't speak on things prematurely. Do I have hopes and dreams and prayers in my journals? Absolutely. But they're all at the Lord's mercy.
Absolutely.
And I know that. I know, again, where my help comes from and where the authority really lies. And so I definitely would anticipate me moving around, me moving deeper into the industry, maybe in more strategic areas as well. I think even though I've been gifted so much on stages, I'm very scholarly as well. And I'm able to put things together and inform and really rally the troops. And so I think that you're going to see me doing a lot more of that here in the next years. I mean, potentially doing some reporting, probably not color commentating, but again, whatever God has for me is what I desire. That's worked incredibly well for me. Don't think that I don't have a lot cooking.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yes, but at the same time, man, I think that mystery and that just faith that I have in God keeps it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It works. It works. Faith in God works. And I think there are a lot of people searching for something that works, and faith in Jesus Christ works.
So you don't try to look too far into the. It's not like I'm going to be doing this 6 months in advance. You don't try to think too much ahead in the future. You just like, if it's right here, let's deal with this right now and just keep moving forward as it goes along.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, my 6 to 8 month plan is pretty baked. Like for the next 6 to 8 months, I definitely have deals and things that are going to happen and be announced. I think beyond that though is really like where that question mark and where it's like, okay, we got some stuff to shake. There might be some exciting partnerships, right? I mean, there are so many people that are just waiting on that call, and I also think that encourages me to stay ready.
Absolutely.
Man, I need to stay ready. Like in 2024, if you don't have a press kit, what are you doing out here? In 2024, you have a brand or business and you don't have a pitch or you don't have a pitch deck. What are you doing? If you don't have a business card or an email that works, like, what are you doing? How serious are you about your dream? And I think with me, man, like my dreams just get more real every day. And I also think that I don't have to sleep to live my dreams anymore. Sometimes I walk into the arena and it's happening.
Absolutely, for sure. She's spitting some bars today.
Praise God.
Bars today.
Yeah.
Live hard.
So obviously you've been in some big rooms, some amazing rooms. Have you ever been starstruck?
To be frank, I've not been starstruck. No.
Really?
No. And here's why. Because listen, when God sends you somewhere, He sends you there as a servant. And like my posture when I do anything, it's like, how can I serve? How can I be most effective in this situation? I think that's also what keeps me so sharp. is because, listen, I'm happy to be there. Yes, I'm very happy to be there, but I'm there because I have a job to do.
Exactly.
I am there because there is a need that needs filled, and I've been the one identified with that solution, and I take that really seriously. For example, last week, 2 weeks ago, I met Simone Biles. Amazing. I mean, she's stellar. She's the GOAT.
Absolutely.
And when I saw her, I was just like, this is awesome. Let me ask her a couple of questions. I'm really, really quick to like get insight. You know, I think a lot of people like want a picture, want a snap, which is cool. That's fine. But like,
you rather have a conversation.
I want information, right? It's like, how do you do this? Like, how do you get your mind right? And I think for me, it's about asking good questions, staying curious, and being grateful.
Absolutely.
What did you learn from Simone? Like, what did you take from that conversation?
Well, actually, one of my main questions was there was like a big rumor going on that she had like a $96 ESPN deal. $96 million ESPN deal. So I was like, is this a thing? And she was like, no, girl, that was fake news. Like, for the next couple of years, I'm going on my tour, and then I'm going to continue, you know, just doing things in the community, and just so I wanted to know that. And then I also asked her like what keeps her so focused and driven. And I mean, she just stays locked in on the vision and the goal, and she believes in herself.
Absolutely.
Stick to the point.
So, kind of getting off the subject, you've been in 19 countries.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite country is probably Spain. That's where I studied abroad when I was at Purdue. And the reason I studied in Spain was because it was the cheapest. And additionally, it was somewhere that I could go with the GPA that was still recovering from my freshman year. Honestly, when I went into the study abroad office, I said, hey, I don't have a whole lot of money, and my GPA is not super hot, but where can I go?
Yeah.
And I remember they said, well, okay, you can't go here. And they said, no, but Spain might work. Let's apply. It might work. Sure enough, it did.
Yeah.
And I went home. I told my mom, she's my best friend. I tell her a lot. And I was like, Mom, like, I got in this program. She's like, that's great, baby, but how are you paying for that?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I trust God. And sure enough, I paid for the whole trip and came out with some coins in my pocket still. You know, because there are so many scholarships, man. Like, there is nothing that you should start to do and think that you got to do it all by yourself, right? And, I mean, that's financially, that's with a team. You don't have to do this by yourself. I mean, you can if you want. But I knew I didn't have thousands of dollars when I was a college student. And so...
Well, when I was broke.
Yeah.
Broke college student.
Really?
I miss, man. Yeah, college was lit.
Yeah.
I was broke college student.
Well, listen, like, I didn't have thousands of dollars to waste or to throw out, or I did go to Qdoba a lot, but I think honestly, that was a blessing. I mean, there were so many scholarships to support students to study abroad because they want their students to be successful. You know,
sure.
They want their students to graduate and be like, I loved it. It was amazing. And I said, yes, I agree to do that if you give me these dollars.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it was a great experience. Met a lot of new people. When I studied abroad, I said, I'm an American in Spain. I'm not going to hang out with only Americans in Spain.
Absolutely.
And so I like went off on my own, met a couple girls that I still stay in contact with to this day. So if you ever see me go to Spain or France for like weeks at a time, I'm going to visit my girls.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
To create lifelong friendships with like that is amazing.
Yeah, it's a blessing though too, man. Again, like, those people just took me at face value.
Yeah.
They didn't care what I did or what I knew or none of that. They were just like, you're cool, let's hang out. And I think that that's something that I really value from Europeans. I mean, they're very relationship centric. I think a lot of times, you know, in Western culture, we can get very transactional. I don't want simply transactional relationships. I desire to have real relationships, real loving, mutually beneficial relationships. You know, not everything always has to be a give. And, you know, there are people who the only time I hear from them is when they need a ticket or when they need access. And I rarely answer because what kind of relationship is that?
Yeah.
Real relationship, you're calling, you're checking in.
Yeah, we're
like,
pouring into each other.
Yeah, pouring into each other. You know, like you're coming over and bringing food to my house, you know? But praise God, I'm really fortunate to have those relationships because I'm an only child. And, you know, I think...
So you value friendship differently?
I value friendship and sisterhood a lot. A lot. I mean, it's necessary.
Yeah.
See, Yeah, I can definitely understand how that feels. Like just growing up, we always been by ourselves. You know what I mean? And it's like when we get friends, we cherish those relationships.
Absolutely.
You know
and then when you lose them, man, it's like
hard.
It's like harder than a breakup. I mean, it is a breakup, right? And I think that there's a level of that fueled my early success. Is like, let me get so valuable to the point that you can't not like me. And that's a very toxic way to build a successful life. You do not want to win favor of others based on what you have or what you know.
Because it's fake.
It's fake and it's fleeting. Oh man, those if something comes quick,
because you just cool. Cool. They only round you because you cool.
Exactly. And it's like, please, love me from my heart. One of the greatest compliments to me is not like, oh, you did great on stage or you had a great interview or like, I love your pictures. It's like, I just love your heart for God.
Absolutely.
And I just love how you're intentional, right? Something happened earlier this week. I was able to get a couple of tickets to the Forbes Under 30 Summit. So I actually went to the Forbes Under 30 Summit a couple years ago in Detroit. It was amazing. I mean, it cost thousands of dollars to go, right? And I was like, man, I don't really want to do that right now, but I want to go. I made some calls. I'm pretty well connected, and I was blessed with some tickets. I didn't just ask for me, though. I said, hey, can I have a couple? Because there's a couple of people in my city that I think need to be there. And man, they blessed me with 4 tickets. And the highlight of my week was calling those 3 other people and saying, do you want to come to this? Yeah. Like when I think of kindness, when I think of excellence, when I think of someone who's going to take this and just do more and more, it's you. Do you want to join me? And that was a great highlight of my week.
Absolutely. That's what's up.
Man, that's awesome. And just to be able to put your friends in those situations.
Yes. I want my friends to win.
That's all
I want them to win.
That's a good point. You said that. Before we started this pod, I didn't care about any. For me, it was just more or less of I just wanted to raise my daughters, and that was it. I felt like that was enough for me. But he saw something in me, like, bro, like the way you are able to talk to people, the way you connect with people, the way you maneuver, people need to see that. Yeah. We need to start a podcast. Yeah. And I'm like, man, because we did our own little things here and there, but he said, dude, I got some plans for us. I want you to do this podcast with me. Because I see this in you. Yeah. And I wasn't the type of person that I rarely speak life into myself because I'm always willing to. I always want other people. I always want to speak life into other people before me, and I just forget about me. Well, he was like, "You're gonna be a master at this, bro. Let's do this." And from there, when we started this, he was like, "Bro, this is yours. I want you to be the leader in this. I'll handle everything else. You be the leader in this podcast stuff. I want you to be that, and I handle everything else." 3 years later,
y'all popping, blessed, sponsors, community events.
It took him to be like, "Yo, I see that in you. I want you to do this. I want to help you with this.
I see that in you." Wow, we all need to hear that at some point in our life. Like another thing that I didn't mention, but a critical detail. Bellies and Brotherhood, right?
That's my dog.
Like a really important detail of my time at Purdue. I mean, it wasn't just me that picked me up by my bootstraps when I was at Purdue and started doing all this. It was those behaviors, yes, but it was actually an encouragement from one of my mentors there at the time, as a gentleman named Randall Lewis, and he was the executive director of our business school. And I heard him speak one time, and there was just something about the way he spoke, that certainty, the confidence, just the intellect that he communicated from the podium. I said, this is someone I want to know. And so a couple of days later, I walked into his office without an appointment. Like I had to wait till the attendant lady left because she was not going to let me back there. I said, "Oh, I definitely am getting back there." Yeah. And he spoke life into me. He sat across, he had one of those big fancy desks, right? Of like someone who made it. And he was kind of sitting back in his chair and he was looking at me and I was like, "What? Like I just told you I got bad grades. I need help." And he's like, "Has anyone told you that you could be great?" I was like, "Well, yeah, like my mom, but like everybody's mom says that." And he's like, "No, Olivia, has anyone told you that you can be great?" That was the first time I'd heard that in my collegiate career. And it changed everything for me. It changed the way I walked. It changed the way I talked. It changed where I sat in class. I was like, man, I'm not going to let me down because I can be great. Yeah. And greatness is determined by service, right? I mean, that's what Dr. MLK Jr. said, is like, not everybody can be famous, but everyone can be great, because greatness is determined by service. And so I think there's a piece of me too that's putting on for people like that.
Absolutely.
You know, putting on for people who pray for me. Man, I do not take those things for granted. Absolutely. I mean, if someone says they're praying for me, I mean, like, okay, I'm gonna need you to get specific, you know, because like I'm out here fighting, right?
Add in this though.
It's like, can you please pray for? But seriously, I mean, speaking life into others, that's something around me. That's normal for me. That's normal. Like for my friends, that's normal. You're gonna get encouraging texts and Bible verses, okay? But I also need that back to me too. And I think sometimes it's hard for people to see that even if you're on stage, even if you're seemingly winning, that you need that too. Yeah. You know?
Strong friends need prayers too. Yeah, strong friends need that too.
Yeah, because people only see this shit. I mean, stuff. They only see this, right? Yeah. They never see what we had to go through just to get here. You know what I mean? Like the traffic, we got to stop here, to stop there, to stop there, to get, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot, man. Like we've been through so much just to get to the seat. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And it's been a struggle.
Yeah. Well, people always want to do what you do, but are they willing to do what you did?
Yeah.
Are you willing to go through that? Because if you are, then we could talk. If not, pick something else. Exactly. Pick something else. Pick something easier.
Yeah, this ain't for everybody.
It's not. And
the content part of it is insane. The content, keeping up with the content, keeping up with the what's going on in the world, and you got to do your homework on your guests and all like that stuff it's essential, but it's also it's the work.
It's the work, man. It is the work. And I mean, there are bits and pieces of even my role that I don't love, but they're just necessary. Absolutely. Like, for example, I'm not someone, like, I remember growing up, I did not like getting my hair done. Oh, man, I despised it. I would kick and scream and cry, you know, and I did not like getting my hair done. And now I get my hair done every week. Yeah. Not because I like it, but because it's necessary. And I think sometimes when we're saying, oh, I want to do this, you're not going to like everything about it. But are you willing to do what's necessary? You know, this is the time right now in 2024 when resources are widely accessible and available. It really separates people who are interested versus people who are committed. You interested in something, you're going to send a text message or maybe pull up to one event. If you're committed, you're going to do it every day, time and time again, until people stop telling you no and start saying, we'll give you a chance. Are you interested or are you committed? Same with faith. Man, same with faith.
I'm talking that stuff.
I have been through so many seasons where, like, I was interested in being a Christian. I was interested in going to church. Man, this is not the time to be lukewarm about that.
Absolutely.
This is not the time to be like, well, like, I read it sometimes. Because for me, if I don't equip myself with the sword of the Spirit and the helmet of salvation, I'm not going to be successful. And that's not an option. And so I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to take accountability, and I'm going to be diligent about my faith.
So can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 26.
I'm 34, and you dropped so many gems today that I have to embrace. And a lot of people don't like to listen to people younger than them because they always think like, oh, I'm older than you, so I feel like I know more. But I feel like you came in here today and really dropped some gems on us, and I really appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you guys for creating.
Life. It sounds like she spoke
life. Yeah, I mean, I am an MC. I'm a speaker, so but
I kind of do this.
Yeah, it's like this is my job description. Yeah. No, but seriously, I mean, it is my pleasure. You know, you can hear me at basketball games. You know, you can hear me hyping up the crowd and doing Pacers and Fever and MCing and such, but I don't think that many spaces like this are created that I can really talk about the things that matter. Absolutely. You know, the Fever, it matters to me if they win. But ultimately what matters is that people are committed to their craft, committed to galvanizing their gift and talent and serving others, and for me, serving God. And so I think, thank you guys for the invitation, for creating this space, and man, keep going. Seriously, I encourage all the listeners to follow them, support them, because it's not easy to do this. If it was, then everybody would do it. There are a whole lot of people who have great ideas in their head, and they're going to stay there. And those ideas will never get out. They'll never impact anyone, and that's a shame. We're robbing people of the gifts that God gave us, not to keep, but to spread.
Absolutely.
Out of fear of
as a true advocate for women, whether that's at the Indiana Conference for Women or the Boss Babe events. What do you have to say to the little girls that look at you and say, I want to be like Olivia?
Well, first of all, that's probably the biggest compliment I get. I remember when I got off stage after interviewing Shannon Sharp, I didn't really know how the interview went. It's kind of hard to tell. You know, it's very dark in there. It's the lights are very bright for me, but everyone's faces is very dark, and so I think that sometimes it's hard for me to tell, like, how did that go? Yeah. And I remember I walked off stage, and then I walked into the lobby area, and there was this little black girl that came up and hugged my leg, and I was like, whose baby is this? I'm not really into the children yet. I'm just not in that season, right? Anyway, she was hugging me and hugging my leg because she was very small, and her mom was standing in front of me and said, her name's Olivia, and the whole time she was pointing at you saying, that's my sister up there.
Wow.
At that point, I even forgot that I had talked to Shannon.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just like, man,
that was a highlight.
Little Olivia is watching me. Little Olivia is saying, that's my sister. I see her, she's doing this, and I can do it too. And so I think for young women, first of all, know who you are. Absolutely. Know who you are created to be. Find your faith. I mean, I think for me, without Jesus, I don't think I'd be here today.
Absolutely.
So I would say that, but I would also say be very committed to finding your gift and your skill and be focused on edifying that so then you can use it in service to others. Because we all have something. It's not always going to be the gift of gab. It might be the gift of math. It might be something else. But you got to find your gift and use it in service to others. Because when you're servant-minded, that's where true greatness and excellence comes. And I know it does for me. And so I don't really think there's anything else more noble worth pursuing than what it is that you have been uniquely positioned to do. So young girls and women, it's not in how you look, but you can control how you think and you can control how you behave. And so do those two things to the best of your ability. And I'm so excited for you.
Absolutely. Well, Olivia West, man, this is probably one of my favorite episodes just because of the life you spoke into us. And just you, like I said, this has been brewing for a year. And
it has been, yes.
It's amazing that we finally got to be able to sit down and talk to you. We did our research. We made sure we came in here on point.
Very good.
And
yes.
He called me 6:30 this morning. All right, bro, let's get to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, okay, bet. But it was a necessity. It was needed.
It was awesome.
I'm proud of you.
We did it together. We're a team. After this, we go get some Kilroys.
As a team.
Olivia, we appreciate you for sitting down with us and talking to us, man. Obviously, this will not be the last time we sit down and talk to you. We're gonna. I feel like you're a staple in Indianapolis.
Oh, sorry.
You are.
And
you're part of Indianapolis history.
You're part of the culture
real.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. What a blessing.
The voice of the culture, the future voice of the culture.
Absolutely.
B Swift need to go. B Swift need to retire.
Yeah,
go ahead, Olivia, do your thing.
No, we love B Swift. Wait, quick story about B Swift. My goodness. So my first day emceeing with the Fever. So the gentleman at the Fever told me, oh yeah, like Jermaine or B Swift will come, right? B Swift will come and he'll help you. And so I'm like, okay, all right, like he's gonna come and man, he's gonna mentor me. You know, I'm a sister, so he'll help. Man, he came in. I was like, hi, hello, my name's Olivia. I'm new to this. Like, can you give me some advice? He's like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's B Swift.
I know what to tell you. Just when the mic comes on, just look at the camera and talk. And I was like, that was the least helpful advice I've ever been given. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Just do your thing.
That's B Swift. We hosted an event, the VDBL. Shout out to the VDBL.
Ain't no you.
I did. I hosted. So that's another thing I kind of wanted to get into. I'm starting to get into a MC bag. I'm starting to get into like
I love that.
See,
bag.
I knew he was coming for my job. The way that he introed me, I knew he was gonna do it.
Like we do something called Love Jones Cafe every 2 weeks, and I host that, and I kill it every time.
As you should. Come on now.
And just so the pod being an A mic on the pod, and just
boy, we
did I say that before? Did I say that before? But no.
Lord have mercy. Be with us.
B Swift, he was one of our first guests.
Awesome.
And he's like, dude, I don't like doing podcasts. I don't like speaking to people. He's like, I'm really an introvert.
Yeah.
Like I really don't like talking to people and this and that. But he's way he gifted. Is, you can just tell like it comes natural to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's so
one
good.
of our mentors, and he tells us like all the time, like, bro, like if you don't want to do it, don't do it if you ain't gonna put y'all into it.
Yeah, absolutely. But that I will never forget that. I was like, okay, good. Like B Swift got me. He's not gonna leave a young sister out here to dry. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Just talking to Mike.
So based off of that little nugget he gave you, what did you learn from there? Like, was you able
to be myself?
Yeah,
and also to give myself time to learn. Fortunately, I came in at a time where we didn't have crowds of 16,000 people. Right, and so I was able to develop, in private somewhat. And I also think that's a problem with people right now. Like, they want the volume before they have the value. Yeah. It's like, you kind of got to get your stuff in order first before you start pitching.
It's a slow grind. It's a bill. You got to cook it up.
And overnight success takes years, man. And yes, I am especially blessed by God to do this. Like, I definitely believe that.
Yeah,
but
you have his favor.
Yes. And I'm very committed to getting better each and every time.
Absolutely.
Man, we didn't even talk about the no's and the failures, but I have failed sometimes on the mic. I mean, NBA All-Star was a great example. I mispronounced someone's name 3 times. And as an MC, that's like a no-no. That's like, get off the stage.
Oh, I do that. I think because people think I'm funny, I just be like, well, shit, I mean, I don't.
Then you get away with it.
Yeah, but when it comes to something like that, I would think that'd be like.
It was awful. I mean, I was crying about that.
Whose name was it?
Mac
McClung?
Yes. It's still like I can barely say it because I was calling him Pat. That brother's name is not Pat.
Slam dunk champion.
Yeah, which like I know him
from out of he came out of nowhere with it.
Yeah, but I should have known. But I just messed up, and we're not perfect. But it's in those moments. How committed are you? Are you committed or are you interested? And I think B Swift. I mean, he's been doing this. He's not just interested. He's committed.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna say he needs to be like a speaker coach or anything like that because that was some very loose advice. But man, I'm thankful for him. I am.
Yeah.
And
we're thankful for him. He's amazing.
But
just because you mess up don't mean you're not committed though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never like discourage. Like, you can't look at it as a discourage to yourself. I messed up.
I know.
You know what I mean?
But like, that's hard to tell a perfectionist that,
Exactly.
And especially like, like I was trying to look good at All-Star and stuff, which I did. Praise God. Man, I looking good. You know what? People people in high school always used to call me weird.
And you could dress nice.
Shout out to my stylist though.
You got a stylist?
I do. Man, you have to. As you grow, you gotta build people around you. Listen, I mean, no, I can't do it all myself, but I like kind of make jokes to my high school friends. Like, people used to call me weird, right? And it's like, I'm so weird. Like, I just look good now, so people don't really say anything.
Yeah.
So
it'd be like that.
No, literally, like, I'm quirky. Yesterday, I was out in my garden being like, look at my tomatoes. But praise God.
But we also seen another side of you when you came to the block party and you did the karaoke. You was performing.
Yes.
You were performing. She was performing. She's going crazy. And I'm like, I said, hold on, Liv, hold on.
Yes.
Going crazy. And you did an amazing job. And the dude that was over the karaoke, he was like, bro, that's the best performance I'd never seen anybody do as far as karaoke. Like, you did the steps, you knew the words. It was like you didn't even have to look at the board. Like, that was a side of you that we never even expected you to have. And you kept telling us, I'm going to do karaoke. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Well, I was actually looking for him. I was like, I'm going to karaoke and then I'm going to go home and go to sleep because that was on a Saturday and I have church the next morning. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? Let me sing my song, dance a little bit, bleep out the bad words, right? Because you're not going to catch me doing none of that. Yeah. But that's the thing, man. God has just blessed me with this joy to be able to do stuff like that and be out in these places and spaces and still honor Him.
Your energy.
The energy was insane.
Just like, but like, when do you turn off?
Oh, a lot. Often. Yeah, often. I spend a lot of time on my own, a lot of time reading, journaling, praying with the people who mean the most to me. Sure. I have a great friend group, an amazing boyfriend, and we just keep it rocking,
Yeah.
You in love? Ooh.
Yeah, I've been, for like 3 years.
That's what's up.
She in love. That's what's up, man. But again, Olivia, man, we appreciate you for coming in and talking to us, man, giving us your time. We have a gift bag for you.
Not a gift bag.
We have a gift bag. You want to get the gift bag?
Oh, right now.
Go ahead and give it to her right now so we can present it to her.
Yeah, I was just saying.
I mean, it ain't.
You always want me to get up.
It ain't a lot, you know what I mean? But it's so Minty Bond Water. Yes. I don't know if you know who Minty Bond Water is.
Yeah, Mr. Tea Maker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
So he wanted to give you some tea, and we also gave you one of our pins on one of our Bellies and BS pins.
Wow, yes.
That you can rock whenever you get a chance to. You know,
it's
oh,
way in
and
the bottom.
a foam finger.
Foam finger from that packs. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, Pacer season's coming up, so this is completely
yeah,
appropriate.
yeah, for sure.
I don't know what they'd say to me if I showed up like, "Can I have this?" They'd be like, "Nah."
Yeah,
Like maybe that's for the fans.
Just from Bellies and BS in general. You know what I mean? But
oh
we got
yes,
the stickers from Minty. But yeah, he wanted
pin in there.
Yeah,
pin is in there.
Boom.
There we go.
So whenever you feel the need to rock it, you know, so we appreciate. We just, you know, we wanted to get.
I cannot wait until I wear this to a conference and someone leans in and says, "What is that? What does that word say?" Bellies, yeah, Bellies and Brotherhood. That's what it says.
That's the name of the show.
Right.
Yeah, of course. But we definitely wanted to make sure we
Thank
we
you
gave
very
you
much.
some stuff.
Sure.
Thank you.
Like I said, we appreciate you for coming and giving us your time and talking to us, man. But this has been Bellies and Brotherhood, man. This episode, you know what I mean? So this is a special episode of Bellies and Brotherhood, man. You know,
The inaugural.
the inaugural episode of Bellies and Brotherhood,
We had to
man.
change
You know,
the name. That might.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So for me, D. Matt LaFleur, to Breon,
Can I say my name? Breon. Thank you.
to Olivia West, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. This has been Bellies and Brotherhood, and we out. Peace.